Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about this, obviously. Resident Evil 3, the remake. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, obviously, um, Capcom is a decent company, and they've actually been bringing the Resident Evil series back. If you guys don't know, it did went into a decline with Resident Evil 5 and 6. Those games were just pure garbage that we don't want to talk about at all. You can see the pain and suffering in my eyes. No, but seriously, Resident Evil 5 and 6, they weren't the best of games. And they basically weren't really releasing a bunch of good Resident Evil games. They were releasing a couple spin-offs, stuff like that. It just wasn't really that good. They were mostly just remaking their games, or should I say remastering them to the next-gen console. For example, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5 and 6, they didn't put on, they put those on, Xbox One, PS4 and stuff like that with updated graphics and stuff like that. But the Resident Evil franchise was seriously going downhill. And I believe, what was it, 2017, I believe? Yeah, 2017 they released Resident Evil 7, and it pretty much brought the Resident Evil series back. It brought life into it. And yeah, Resident Evil 7 was a great game. It was a first-person shooter. They brought it back to the horror roots. They brought it back, which I don't really think anyone expected the game to be that good. And it was very different from their past Resident Evil games. Instead of zombies, you would have these, kind of molded creatures and stuff like that. And the family was just really interesting, the Baker family and stuff like that. And it was just a really interesting concept, and I thought it was really good. I played through that game maybe 6 times. Did a speed run of it for I think an hour and a couple minutes. So I feel pretty impressed. I played through that game too many times. But yeah, and then after that they announced that they were going to remake Resident Evil 2. A lot of people were a little weary about it. Some people were excited. I personally was excited once they released Resident Evil 7, and then we heard about that. I was like, this could be really, really good. This could be really interesting. And sure enough, Resident Evil 2 Remake came out. Solid game. They completely changed the engine. They made it a third-person shooter once again, changing from Resident Evil 7. You basically went through Raccoon City Police Department as Leon and Claire. They brought back the 2 stories. For all those who don't know, in Resident Evil 2, they had 2 separate stories for the 2 different characters, and they were the same but different. They were different in different ways. Different in different ways. Smooth. But no, they were basically, they were different, but they overall had the same story. Claire would go in different areas that Leon wouldn't go in, and vice versa. And they remade it, and it was really, really good. I personally think that's one of the best that they've done. It brought, scariness back. It brought great gameplay. In my opinion, better than 7, which I didn't think 7 was going to get much better, but it did. They brought back great gameplay, amazing graphics, fun, just fun. It was pure fun. They brought back a villain, super scary, Mr. X, also known as, I think, Tyrant. Was that also one of his names? Basically, a character who was minor in Resident Evil 2, the original. They made him into this always lurking thing. He was always there at about the last half of the game. It didn't matter, where you were at in the prison. If you were in there, you were screwed. But you could avoid him by being quiet, not shooting a lot, and stuff like that. And I just thought it was a really, really fun and really cool idea. And in my opinion, that was one of the best parts of it. Because Resident Evil 2 did so well, they decided to go ahead and pump out Resident Evil 3 remake. No, they decided to go and pump out the Resident Evil 3 remake because, people liked Resident Evil 2. They decided to go ahead and, pump this out a year later. And, well, it's not as good. It is a good game. I would say it is a solid game. It is a short game, mind you, but it is a overall pretty good game. What do I like about it? Well, the characters are cool. They were fun. It was fun playing as Jill. Wait, was it Jill or it was Claire? Okay. Anyway, they were pretty cool. Carlos was funny. This guy. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the guy in the picture. Jill was awesome. As playing as her, it was a lot of fun. The Nemesis, obviously scary. He has to be if he's on the cover. When it comes down to the human antagonist, no, they can take him back. He was not really interesting at all. He was the typical Resident Evil villain. He thinks he's doing good stuff when in reality he's not, and it just wasn't interesting anymore. What else I liked about it was the gameplay, more fluid than the second one, which I didn't think was possible. But it was super, fluid. They added a cool dodge mechanic where you can dodge and then it slows, and if you have a knife, you can then shink an enemy, which did a lot of damage, and it was personally really cool. I thought that was really cool. Graphics, game looks amazing, somehow better than the second one, which looked amazing also. I think that's about it. I will say this: it was just a genuinely fun game. It was, I had a lot of fun. What I didn't like about it was how long it was. It was short. It took me 4 hours to beat, and that was me taking my time. And it could have been longer. I've heard people talk about how there's this clock tower section that they completely cut out from the game, and I have to agree, they should have added more to the game. And I feel like part of that might be because of the short amount of time that they had to come out with this game, which is exactly why video game companies should not be releasing games a year apart. That was a problem with, off the top of my head, Call of Duty obviously is one of them, although most Call of Duties are good. There's a few that came out that they could have taken more time with. The Batman games, Batman Arkham City to Arkham Origins. Arkham Origins was basically Arkham City reskinned. It's a good game, but it could have been a lot better. And that's exactly how I feel about this. It should have been longer. Granted, you can go through it multiple times, but unlike Resident Evil 2, which had 2 stories, there was a point to it. You played as 2 different characters throughout the entire thing. There were certain things that you could unlock with Claire that you couldn't unlock, or was it Claire? I don't know who it was. There were certain things that you could unlock with hold on, this isn't gonna bother me. Okay, I was right. You play as Claire. Playing as Claire is a lot different than playing as Leon, while gameplay may not be, but it was still interesting to go through certain locations that Leon couldn't go through, but Claire could, and that Leon could go through, but Claire couldn't. There was a point to playing it through multiple times. In this, you can play it through normal, hardcore, unlock these certain points, and unlock things such as a gun with unlimited ammo, coins that give you more defense and stuff like that. And while, yes, that is cool, there's really no point to it. I mean, once you beat the game, you can go back through and play through it and unlock all the stuff and become an ultra OP person, but really there's no point to it. If you've beaten the game once, you're not really, unless you want to go through it again, which I know for a fact I've done that with Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2, but there really wasn't really a point, if that makes sense. Also, what I didn't really care for was Nemesis. Yes, he was a cool villain. Yes, he did have some scary moments, like when he's chasing you through Raccoon City in the early parts of the game, but other than that, he's really not that scary. Unlike Mr. X, who's always chasing you, in this game, he pops up when the story needs him. You run away from him, you get what you need to get, you go back, he disappears, he'll come back, he'll chase you again, he'll, go through a certain part, cutscene, he'll chase you, he'll go away, and that's it. There's not like a constant looming threat that I felt like made Resident Evil 2 work so well. And I kind of miss. I'm not gonna lie, and I expected it with this one. It does happen a little bit, but not nearly as much with Mr. X, which is why I do think Resident Evil 2 is a better game because of that. Mr. X, he was always there, but it was fun. It was fun when he showed up. you know, it was fun because you had to run away and made things super tense when you heard his footsteps in the next room, and you're like, oh, okay, okay. But yeah, so where would I rank this game? I would give it probably a 7 out of 10. The Resident Evil 2 remake, 9 out of 10, so this does go a little bit below. I feel like if they took one more year, put more effort into the game, made it a little bit longer, added a couple extra things that I would have added, like more nemesis following you, you know, and just more area to explore, that it would have been probably up there. More scary. There was a lot of action in the game that I felt like was uncalled for. But yeah. Excuse me. But no, I do feel like that Resident Evil 3, it is a good game. It is a really fun game. If you like Resident Evil, you're going to like it, but I do not recommend you spend the full money on it. I recommend you wait. $40 would probably be the most I would spend on it. I bought it at $60 because I didn't wait for the reviews to come out and decided to go ahead and buy it because I like Resident Evil. But yeah. So like I said, Resident Evil 2 was a better remake. Hopefully for the remake of Resident Evil 4, they take their time. Yes, they are remaking Resident Evil 4. Why? I don't know, because why not? But no, I hope Resident Evil 8, they take their time with it. I hope it takes at least another year to come out. And I hope Resident Evil 4 takes more time to come out. And I hope that those games are really good. But yeah, those are basically my thoughts on Resident Evil 3. I'm sorry if the video is a little iffy. It's my first review. I didn't really know what to do. I tried doing it with gameplay, but I would just stop talking and be playing the game. So, but yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.